Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Let me just bask. Can you just let me bask in the sun and the glory of being here with you this fine morning? What a beautiful day. What a beautiful day. So we have lots to talk about. Are you ready? Are you ready? Finance bros. Am I obsessed with finance bros? I'm obsessed with drum and bass. I'm obsessed with traveling. I'm obsessed with the people I love. I'm obsessed with having fun. Am I obsessed with finance bros? They are some of the most interesting people I've ever come across. Psychopaths, but some of the most interesting people I've ever come across. I have one particular psychopath, I mean finance bro, who I really enjoyed kicking it with, because he was, well, let me ask you this. Finance bros tend to get on very well with me, which is quite scary, because many of them, in my humble opinion, have a lot to prove. I think that's what it is. They have a lot to prove, and people think that I think they're misunderstood actually. They're quite insecure people, but you only find that out once you've spent a predominantly extended period of time with them. And it's incredible because some of them are so alpha and so, they come across so strong, but when you scratch away at the surface, they're actually, some of them are incredibly wounded people, but they just mask it. But really interesting people because they're smart and they get on very well with me. Do you know why? Take a wild guess. Why do you think they get on with me? I mean, I love people, so I try and, as long as the respect is there, I enjoy just hanging out with, I get something out of most people, which is funny, isn't it, that I stay away from people. But why do you think they get on with me? I'll tell you why. It's because a lot of the time we tend to share a very similar sense of humor. And this is the key though. I tend to take, in very polite English, or not so polite English, not so polite British English, I tend to take the letter P out of them. But in politer British English, I tend to take the mick out of them, and they love it. They love it. They can't get enough of it, you guys. So if you want to get to know a finance, if you're a lady who wants to get to know a finance bro on a deep level, just make fun of them. In a nice way, of course, that makes them guffaw with sheer pleasure. They love to laugh. I think what it is that they have such stressful worlds. There's so much pressure on them. And they're constantly telling people what to do. So then when you have someone who doesn't take them that seriously and doesn't really, just sees them as just another human being, the older ones tend to like it, I think. And they like to have a laugh because their world is so serious. So yeah, I really enjoy the ones that have been around. I've enjoyed being around. Some of them no, but the good ones, or are psychopaths good? See, I can manage it, you know. I learned how they operate, and I'm so grateful to this one particular guy because he taught me everything about how, and he didn't do it purposefully. It's just at in the time that I spent with him, I just learned how he operated, and it's quite scary. Some of the things these guys do, it's quite scary. I just want to be in my innocent little bubble and just be happy as Larry, you seen that episode, Curb Your Enthusiasm? One of my favorite Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes. I'll link it. Get a life, Larry! So yeah, they're very interesting people. I don't have anything bad to say about them, really. And when I call them psychopaths, of course I do it in a joshing kind of way, yeah, you know, I feel like I'm allowed to be able to say that because I've studied them. I should have been an anthropologist. Anthropologist? I don't think that's the right word. No, anthropology, don't they look at... Sometimes I have I was about to say blonde moment, but guys, we know that that's too politically incorrect. So sometimes I have my green moments. Anthropology, I think, is the study of buildings, old artifacts. Is this correct? Sociologist, is that what word I'm looking for? The study of people. I'm fascinated by people. I find them so interesting. I could have sat on that park bench and just watched all those people coming and going for hours on end in the sun with all the little doggies coming towards me and just been in my element. And you know what's so interesting as well? There was this one guy in the last clip, you heard him shouting at his dog. He was really annoyed with his dog, Cass. But I quite liked the way you'll hear him. I liked the way he spoke because he was completely in control. And I think what I liked is that he was actually trying to protect me, because some people, he doesn't know that I like dogs and some people don't like dogs. And afterwards, when I was thinking about it, because I was quite taken aback at how he was quite, I don't know, he seemed irritated by his dog. And there was a moment where I was like, it felt like the irritation was being directed at me as well, but it was actually at the dog. But afterwards, when I was thinking about it, when I was watching the video back, I really liked the way he dealt with that, because he was basically trying to protect me. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. So I sometimes we think that people are they can be slightly off-putting at first, but when you really analyze or think about their behavior, you think, no, actually, I'm not verbalizing as well, but I like people who, he was quite loud in that park, and everyone, I don't know, I need to discuss him at another point. I just liked the way he handled that situation when I thought about it afterwards, and how in control he was. There's one other thing relating to a comment. I don't know if you are someone who has always watched my channel, but there was one really unusual comment that came on my channel, I think a couple of months back. It was some guy who, it was quite a dark comment, I think, because in the comment, it was such an odd comment. I just didn't know what to do with it. I was stunned into silence. In the comment, he said that I looked like someone whose twin he knew. And forgive me for talking about this, universe. Something had happened to that twin. It wasn't something nice. And he kind of demanded that I get in touch with him. I don't deal with demands, party people. I'm not a... No. But I just didn't. It was so bizarre. It was such a weird comment. I did nothing with it. I just left it there, and I just thought, okay, whew. I can't whistle to save my life. But some very nice and lovely person replied to him and said what I was thinking. This is the most bizarre comment they'd ever read. And I just like that comment. So thank you for that reply. And then the guy himself, I think, deleted the comment after this lovely person had responded to him. So yes, I don't know if you were just a passing traveller through my channel or if you've always been here, but you basically wrote what I was thinking. What else did I want to talk about? 10:29. Should I go? Should I stay? I have so much music to play, but maybe I'll do that later on if I have time, or maybe tomorrow. Personality. You need to have personality. There's this, so you know that I'm watching these Love Island clips. The British one, not the American one. And there's this really, really attractive young man. I think he's basically the only attractive one, really. But he doesn't, how do I talk about this without, I don't like to talk about people. I really don't. It's not right. But I think these things are important to talk about. He's beautiful. If you were just to see him, you would just think he's an attractive man. But he doesn't really know how to talk to women. And it's such a shame, because there are other guys in this villa, one in particular, who I just don't get why all the girls like. But they all like him, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. But I think it's because he's got a sense of humour, and he's not committed to anyone, and I think these girls seem to like that. But this other guy, he's just a really great guy. I think if he was, his lines are just, they're quite painful to watch, and you're just rooting for him. You're thinking, you can do this, you can do this. You're a really great guy. But he doesn't know how to land that plane. And I'm not saying in terms of getting the girl even. I'm just saying conversing with girls. And he's young. It will take him time. But personality is so important. Having a personality. You can be the most beautiful person, but if you don't have and he has personality when I've seen him, he just doesn't know how to speak to girls, I think that's the difficulty. But it made me think of this one guy in Japan who I used to come across every now and again. And this man was absolutely stunning. I mean, possibly, see, I remember all the interesting people, all the people that I've dealt with. I don't remember them if they either didn't have an interesting personality, didn't have a sense of humour, weren't kind, whatever, you know. You remember these people that have these qualities, and then you forget other people. This guy, I'll remember him always, because he was so handsome, so it was like he'd been chiseled out like a Greek god. Incredible facial features, the cheekbones, the eyes. Yes, he was tall and he wore clothes beautifully. He's Japanese in terms of the style. And then you'd speak to him. Nothing, literally nothing. Now, I don't know if it was because his English level was not on a high level. And Japanese men tend to be shy. But this man had no reason to be shy. And it wasn't even about shyness. He just had nothing particularly interesting about him. And you look at this guy and you think, what a waste. What a waste. And I really hope he's one of these slow burners. You know, one of these guys takes time to get to know, and then their personality just blossoms. But every time I'd see him, I'd be taken by how attractive he was. And beauty People say that women are less moved by beauty than men. I don't think so. I think women, equally like men, find beauty attractive. But for women, unlike men perhaps, some men, but for women, once you realize there's nothing more, I think it can be, that's when that interest can shut down. But I'd see him and it's like you forget, right, that there's no personality there. I'd see him and I'd be like, oh my goodness, what a beautiful, beautiful creation. And then you'd have a conversation with him again and then it'd be gone. You wouldn't even notice his personality. There was one woman who was like this guy who I would come across frequently. I mean, one of the most beautiful Japanese women I've ever seen. She was stunning, absolutely ethereal. She had this really beautiful milky skin. Her eyes, they were not typical Japanese eyes. The color was slightly different. They shined, they sparkled. And she was curvier than typical Japanese girls. Beautiful girl, stunning. And then you'd speak to her, nothing, absolutely nothing. And again, I just couldn't get it, because imagine having that kind of beauty and just wasting it. Now, people can say, well, as a beautiful man and as a beautiful woman, you can get away with having no personality. And I say to you that the men and women who get, the men anyway, I'm not really sure about women, but the men who always end up dating well have fantastic personalities. And for some reason, I kind of didn't mind it so much with the girl, and I don't know why. That sounds really awful. I think she was a nice person. She was a really sweet person. She really was. I enjoyed talking to her, but there was nothing really spectacular about her personality. Remember the other two girls that I told you about who were not particularly striking to me, but they were all, as all Japanese girls are, they dressed fabulously. Remember the two girls, one who was super ultra tanned and the other one, I need to tell you a story about her as well. But these two girls had incredible personalities. I mean, they just shone bright in that sense. And because of that, I found them very, very attractive. Sure, it was an attractiveness that came from having a fabulous personality, different to looking at someone and just being wowed. But nonetheless, I think if you've got nothing to talk about with a person, where can it go? It can't go anywhere. So this lovely young man on Love Island, I do think he has a nice personality. I just think he needs to work on how he speaks to girls. And that's where he's failing at the moment. Or maybe this is what it is. Maybe this is what it is. You don't need to have like chat up lines. You don't need to have all that kind of stuff. But I think maybe he's starting to feel pressure because of all the other guys who do have something in terms of how they talk to girls, and he's hamming it up a little bit now, and that's actually going against him. I think if he was just himself, it would be, even if he didn't have the riz factor, I think he would do a lot better than taking on this persona that isn't really him at all. He's just a great guy, and that's fine. We need great guys in the world. Great guys are great. Healthy people date healthy people. Healthy people, great people date great people. So there's someone for everyone in this world. I will go, and yes. Oh, the sun's gone. It's going to be one of those days. But tomorrow is 26 degrees, and I'm so excited about tomorrow. This is so not my color. I love natural nails, and there was a color that I used to have, which was translucent almost, baby pink, so beautiful. And I would always get complimented on it. And I need to find that colour again, but this is not my colour because it's not very natural, and I like to look as natural as I possibly can. Have a lovely day, folks. Peace.